I know it's on my side for sure.
All right, Chair, go ahead.
Great, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the September 18th meeting of the Larimer County Planning Commission. It's our tradition to start each meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, so I just ask you guys to join me on that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm Patrick Rowe. I'm the current chair of the Planning Commission. Thanks for being with us tonight. Copies of the agenda are posted by the door there. We'd ask that everybody mute their cell phones, please. The members of this Planning Commission are volunteers. I'm going to ask each member of the commission to introduce themselves, starting with my commissioner to my right, Commissioner Duffy.
Good evening. Connor Duffy. I've been on the Planning Commission for 2 years now, and I live in the Timnath area.
Mr. Weiss. Which way we're going?
Sleepy.
It's not working. Anyway, there it is. I'm John Weiss. I've been on the commission for a couple of months now, and I live in the Timnath area.
Adam Eggleston, been on the commission for a few months in southeast Fort Collins.
I'm Nick Cassidy. I've been on the commission a couple months now, and I'm in Fort Collins.
My name is Lisa Cholet. I've been on the Planning Commission for about 9 months now, and I live in Wellington.
My name's Shelby King. I've been on the commission since July of last year, and I live in LaPorte.
I'm John Slutsky. I've been on the commission for 2.5 years, and I live in Southeast Fort Collins.
I'm Patrick Rowe. I've been on the commission for 3 years, and I live in Northwest Fort Collins. Jenny Axmaker is the planning manager. Miss Axmaker, would you please introduce the staff in attendance tonight and provide meeting protocol for this evening?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm joined at the dais by Christine Luckison from our County Attorney's Office. We also have our Senior Planner, Samantha Mott, 8 County Planner, Samantha Lasher. We're joined by our admin support for this hearing, Christine Scrutchins, and we're joined by Connor Sheldon from our Engineering Division, as well as Leah Schneider from the Health Department is joining us virtually on Zoom. So with that, I would like to respectfully request that everyone silence their electronic devices. Please help yourself to a copy of the agenda and hearing procedures located on the wall right here, or if you're joining us online, you can find those posted at the website larimer.org/BOCC/commissioners-meetings. The hearing procedures for tonight: for each discussion item, we will begin with a presentation from county staff, followed by a presentation from the applicant, with time for any clarifying questions from the commissioners. There will then be an opportunity for any members of the public to address the commission with their comments on the matter. Both the applicant and county staff will have an opportunity to respond to any questions or concern raised during public testimony, and the commission will then ask any remaining questions of the applicant or staff before entering into deliberation and working towards a decision on the matter. During public comment, please wait to speak until you're recognized by the chair. Please maintain civility, refraining from audience applause, comments, or disruptions, whether positive or negative. Please make all comments to the commissioners from the podium. A portable microphone is available if needed. Please state your name at the beginning of your comments and provide the spelling of your name if it's unique. Please speak directly into the microphone so that anyone joining us via Zoom can hear. And any attendees joining via Zoom will be muted until they are recognized by the chair. And if an online attendee wishes to speak or requests that a consent item be removed, please use the raise your hand function on the Zoom control bar. Upon request, we do have assisted listening devices available for the hearing impaired. There are 4 consent items on the agenda tonight, and we do not have any discussion items on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Axmaker. I have some brief comments about the role of the Planning Commission for the audience. The Planning Commission acts as an advisory board to the Larimer County Planning Commissioners. We review and make recommendations on land use issues outside of towns and city boundaries. Some land use decisions will also be heard by the Board of County Commissioners. We come to these meetings and hearings unbiased and listen to the staff's report, public testimony, as well as information provided by the applicant. The Planning Commission is the final decision-making body for location and extent reviews, as well as amendments to and approvals of the Larimer County Master Plan, subplans, and amendments. The Planning Department staff provides us with a comprehensive package of information about a land use application and plan amendments, and we really do gain insights and information from the viewpoints that you all provide, so we encourage your participation, and thank you for your attendance. Ms. Axmaker, are there any amendments to the agenda as published?
No, there are not.
Thank you.
I guess I just would like to clarify that the approval of minutes would be from the August 21st meeting.
Great. Okay, thank you. Let's see here. Is there anyone in person or online who wishes to speak to a county land use code or other land use matter not on the agenda or a planned future agenda? Anyone online?
There's nobody online.
Okay, great. So next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from our last meeting. So yeah, if there are any amendments to those minutes, and I don't believe so, but if not, I'd entertain a motion for those. Any amendments or a motion?
Move to approve.
Okay.
Hold on.
Second?
Okay, motion and second to approve the minutes from our August 21st meeting. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Duffy,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Weiss,
Yes.
Yes.
Cholet,
Yes.
Eggleston,
Yes.
Slutsky,
Yes.
Chair Rowe.
Yes. Okay. So now we'll move on to our consent agenda. Consent agenda items are meant to be non-controversial and routine and will not be discussed unless requested by a commissioner or a member of the audience. The consent agenda will be voted on as a whole. So, and this allows us to focus on and spend more time with discussion items, with which we have none of those this evening. But if anyone wishes to discuss any of the items that are on the consent agenda, they'll need to speak now. So do any commissioners wish to pull an item from the consent agenda?
All right. I would like to pull the second consent. Mountain Vista rezoning file 23 zone 3539.
Okay, that item will be pulled from the consent agenda and will become a discussion item for us. If there are no other items from commissioners, then same question for those in our audience or online, if there are now any participants.
There are no hands raised online.
Thank you. Yeah, and seeing none in the
Chair, I apologize.
Sure.
I would like to pull consent agenda item number 4, the STIF plan, or no, I'm sorry, number 3. And I don't want to butcher that name, the Sealer rezoning, file number 21,
Yeah, silent.
zone 3145, Seiler, thank you.
Sure. Okay, so items 2 and 3 will be pulled, and so items 1 and 4 remain on our consent agenda. Sorry, let's see here. Might be going out of order here. So I'm going to just read through the consent items just so we're clear on which those are now. So we have, so the consent agenda now with the pulled items removed includes item number 1, the Colbert Conservation Development, file number 22 Land 4289. Items 2 and 3 were pulled. So our second item on that consent agenda is the Stith Planned Land Division Plan Development, file number 22 Land 4259. And so if I'll now entertain a motion to approve that consent agenda.
I move to approve the modified consent agenda as stated by the chair.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. So roll call.
Commissioner Chalet,
Yes.
Slutsky,
Yes.
Eggleston,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Weiss,
Yes.
Duffy,
Yes.
Cassidy,
Yes.
Chair Rowe.
Yes. Okay, so the consent calendar as amended is now passed, and we will now move on to the 2 items that we've pulled. Unless there's any reason to do it differently, I'll just do it in the order that they were on the agenda. So we'll start with that Mountain Vista rezoning, file number 23 zone 3539. Is there a staff report?
Yes, I have a staff presentation.
Great, thank you.
All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Samantha Lasher. I'm a planner 2 with Larimer County, and I'll be presenting the Mountain Vista rezoning, file number 23 zone 3539. The subject property is located at 4405 East County Road 50 in Fort Collins. It's located approximately 0.3 miles east of the intersection of I-25 and East County Road 50. The request before you tonight is for a rezoning from RR2 Rural Residential to RPD Rural Plan Development to allow for a variety of uses, including indoor and outdoor storage, and the subject property is located within the Timnath Growth Management Area. The property owner is Doug Johnson, who's here with us tonight, and we also have our formal applicant, Brian Williamson with TST Inc., who's also here tonight. The property totals 38.5 acres and, as mentioned before, is zoned RR2. The existing land uses are single-unit residential and also agricultural uses. The property is accessed off of East County Road 50 and is served by Elko Water, which is East Larimer County Water District, as well as an on-site well. The property also has an on-site septic system and is within the Poudre Fire Authorities District. Again, as mentioned before, the proposed zoning is RPD Rural Plan Development. At this time, the proposed land use, if the rezoning were to be approved, would be a mix of indoor and outdoor storage on half the site, which would require site plan approval. The owner also proposes to maintain the existing residence and also maintain existing agricultural uses. Adjacent zoning on the subject property includes a mix of rural zone districts, including O-Open and RR2. The property is also surrounded by incorporated City of Fort Collins land as well. Adjacent land uses include a mixture of residential, agricultural, and also commercial. So I wanted to provide a little background on why this property specifically is rezoning to RPD. So generally speaking, when there's a property within a growth management area, the land use code requires any rezoning for those properties to be rezoned to PD plan development. However, Timnath is unique. There is an intergovernmental agreement between the town of Timnath and the county. However, there's been no formal overlay zoning district adopted for the Timnath GMA. And the land use code specifies that in order to rezone to PD plan development, there has to be an overlay zoning district. So therefore, this property cannot rezone to PD. However, after discussions with internal staff, including the director, staff determined that an appropriate alternative zone to rezone to would be our rural plan development. Rural plan development is similar to plan development, and it's allowed for properties outside of GMAs or plan areas. But it's similar because we still require the property to conform with the Timnath IGA and then both the town of Timnath and the county's comprehensive plans. So a little background on the Larimer County Comprehensive Plan and Land Use Code. The Comprehensive Plan was updated in 2019, and our Larimer County Land Use Code was recently updated in 2021. The Comprehensive Plan is really a policy document that establishes a long-range framework for decision-making in Larimer County. We have a framework map that outlines different framework categories that help guide the location, intensity, and pattern of development in the county. And one purpose of the land use code is to implement the comprehensive plan and any future amendments. So the framework map in the comprehensive plan identifies this area as urban-rural interface. So some of the preferred uses are large 35-acre lots, conservation developments. Supported uses include non-residential and uses allowed under the current zoning. Some of the uses that are discouraged would be heavy industrial. The CC Commercial Corridor Zoning District, among other sort of urban zoning districts, are intended for areas in this urban-rural interface category. Similarly, looking at the town of Timnath, their comprehensive plan was adopted in 2020. The property is located within their designated employment regional commercial future land use category. This framework category supports retail, employment, entertainment, civic uses, and also light industrial and manufacturing uses as well. 3 of the zoning districts that Timnath supports for this area would include their versions of industrial, regional commercial, and then community commercial. And the proposed RPD zoning district, as you all are reviewing, the uses proposed in those do align with both the county's comprehensive plan as well as the town of Timnath. The town of Timnath has had a chance to review the zoning district and has no concerns. So in reviewing a rezoning application, the Planning Commission and the Board of County Commissioners shall consider 3 sets of review criteria, including the general review criteria found in Article 638D, and then specific rezoning criteria found in Article 661D and 661E4. I've listed out all the criteria on the screen, and I'm happy to come back and reference it. I have addressed each of this review criteria in detail in my staff report.
Great, thank you.
So comments were received from the 6 following agencies as seen on the screen, and to date, no comments from any community members have been received. So therefore, the Development Services team does find that the proposed request meets all of the applicable review criteria, and staff is recommending that the Planning Commission recommend to the Board of County Commissioners approval of the Mountain Vista rezoning, file number 23 Zone 3539, from RR2 to RPD, and we do have a suggested motion on screen for you all. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. We appreciate your presentation. Do any of my fellow commissioners have any questions or clarifications for staff at this time?
I do.
Yeah, Commissioner Slutsky.
I would like to know the difference in the benefits to Larimer County, or what the benefits are to Larimer County and the town of Timnath for going forward with this. For example, does Timnath receive taxes generated from this property, or do they remain with Larimer County? What services does the county continue to provide after this change in zoning? And the same for Fort Collins, because it seems to me like this property is really closer to Fort Collins than to Timnath. And so that's where I have questions.
Sure, and I'll let Jenny jump in if I misspeak on anything. From my understanding, taxes would still be paid to Larimer County, so the rezoning would not affect that. If any development occurred on the property upon approval of the rezoning, it's still under the jurisdiction of the county, essentially, so nothing with respect to that would change. The property, you are correct, is closer to City of Fort Collins. It's really located on the border of Fort Collins GMA and Timnath GMA. It's just east of the Fort Collins GMA. We did refer this project to the City of Fort Collins because it is so close, but they did not provide any comments on the rezoning, and which we usually infer that they have no concerns with that. So from my understanding, in terms of how the property develops and where taxes are paid, would not change with this.
And that would include taxes generated from rents on these units that are being proposed.
That's correct. If the property were to ever be annexed into the town of Timnath, then that could change.
Is there, I thought I saw this, but I couldn't find it again. Is there a date that Timnath has to annex his property? Can this go on forever, perpetuity, like kind of, or how does this end?
Yes, there's no set date that Timnath would have to annex the property. Essentially, it could remain in the county until Timnath chooses to annex, or maybe a property owner chooses to annex within the town of Timnath. So there's no set date. It could sort of, it could remain in the county for many years.
And let me just add in, there are some state statutes that govern annexation, and so some of the requirements are that a property has to have 1/6 contiguity, so have 1/6 of the perimeter of the property be adjacent to incorporated towns or cities in order to be able to be annexed if it's not surrounded as an enclave. So I'm not sure if this property specifically does have that contiguity so that the town of Timnath could even annex it according to state regulations.
Thanks, Jenny. Yeah, there's no contiguity, if I remember correctly. So if there were to be contiguity in the future and someone came in and wanted to do, in theory, another rezoning or maybe a land division of the parcel, and there was contiguity, that could trigger annexation.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Chalet?
Hold on. Okay, so my question actually, understanding that Timnath has a GMA, but we don't have like an overlay zone district as part of our IGA, does the development of this property prohibit a potential buffer zone between the town of Wellington, or the town of Fort Collins and the town of Timnath, when the county has a practice of having buffers between municipalities?
If I understand your question right, I don't believe so.
Okay, that was my only question.
Okay. And is the applicant here for a presentation? I'm not sure the condition of that microphone, but if it's looks like it's working.
Very hot.
Careful.
My name is Brian Williamson. I'm with TSC Consulting Engineers. Our address is 748 Whalers Way, Fort Collins, Colorado. I am the applicant for the project. We also have the owner here as well. I don't have a formal presentation. Samantha put it together a very thorough staff report, and everything I think that we wanted to talk about was in there. As far as the nuts and bolts, I think the only thing I want to address is kind of the intent behind this application. As you know, this area is seeing some growth on both sides of the highway. The intent for this is to kind of develop this property and kind of position it so that as that growth happens, it can be responsive to the needs of that growth. That's why we're kind of going to this the RPD zoning district rather than a straight zoning district through the county. We have been in very much kind of continual contact with Timnath, and they don't really have any concerns about how it's developing. They are quite a ways away from this, over 3 miles, so I don't think it would actually qualify even if there was an intent to transfer, to annex to Timnath right now. And we're here to answer any questions you might have.
Great, thank you. Yeah, we appreciate that. So we'll go ahead and now open the public hearing and take public comment. Is there anyone in the room that would like to give testimony? And is still any attendees online at all? Still none? Okay. Yeah, so seeing no one who wishes to comment, I will now close the public hearing. Let's see here. So yeah, next we'll move into commissioner discussion and deliberation on the item. Correct. I mean, I think we can do that anytime, but yeah.
You can ask questions of the applicant up to deliberation.
Oh, up to deliberation, sorry. Well, let's not deliberate yet. So, yes, are there any questions for the applicant from commissioners? Sure.
I'll wait for you. Do you anticipate a high need for such a large storage space in that location right away, or is this more of like anticipating the growth?
I think that there is, in the very short-term horizon, there will be a need there. I think as specifically the Montava development in City of Fort Collins gains some traction, and we start to get those units over there, I think there will be a need directly across the highway for that. The densities, I think, and the product types that are involved in Montava lend themselves to this need for some additional storage.
Okay, that was it.
All right. Any other questions? Yeah, Commissioner Slutsky.
Hang on. There. It sounds to me like the storage facility is really a temporary entity, that you have other plans for that property, which of course would necessitate another application, but right?
That's correct. They would require site plan approval.
So what are your plans?
For right now, I think what we're looking for is the storage facility would be a permanent facility, but with the option, and we're planning for that to be about half of the site currently. Maybe that expands based on demand, or maybe there's another use for that other half that is more light industrial, or any of the other uses that we've kind of outlined in the RPD.
So in your application, you say that the non-developed part of this property is going to be used as agricultural.
Correct.
to blend in with the existing uses around it. But in fact, that's not your plan.
That would not be probably the ultimate plan. But I would anticipate that remaining in agriculture for some time. I think the amount of storage that would fit on half of it has a fairly lengthy absorption period till that demand would trigger something else out there. But yes, ultimately the intent would be to develop the entire property. However, we'll be, processing applications through Larimer County, the site plan for the storage facility, and then depending on what any other use would be, the table that's in the RPD zoning would kind of outline what process we would have to follow. The more intense the use, the more scrutiny there is on that use, including public hearings and all those.
But it's possible by the time that comes to pass that the property could no longer be in Larimer County.
Yes, and if it would annex to Timnath, then this zoning district would kind of cease to exist. So when you would annex to a municipality, you would get a zoning implication from that municipality. So if it annexed to Timnath, there would be a Timnath zoning action that corresponds with that annexation, and this would cease to exist.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah, not seeing any other questions from my commissioners. So thank you very much. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and move into deliberations. Do any of my commissioners have any comments or thoughts on this item, or also willing to entertain a motion if we're ready for that?
I'll entertain a motion. I move that the Planning Commission recommends that the Board of County Commissioners approve the Mountain Vista rezoning, file number 23, zone 3539.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cassidy,
Yes.
Eggleston,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Slutsky,
Yes.
Duffy,
Yes.
Yes.
Weiss, Chalet,
Yes.
Chair Rowe.
Yes. Motion passes. So we'll move on to our next discussion item. That's the Siler rezoning, file number 21, zone 3145. Is there a staff presentation for this item?
Yes, there is, Commissioner. Bear with me. Good evening. I'm Samantha Mott, Senior Planner with Larimer County. The project that I'm presenting to you now is the Siler rezoning, file number 21, zone 3145. The property is located at 13510 North County Road 7, Wellington, Colorado. It's located approximately 3/4 of a mile north of the intersection of County Road 7 and East County Road 72, or Labrador Lane, just west of I-25. The request is to rezone the subject property from O open to A agriculture. The property owner and applicant is Peter Siler, who is here tonight. The total acreage for this parcel is 35.03 acres, and as I mentioned, the current zoning district is O open. The existing land uses include residential, agricultural, and recreational. The services include access from North County Road 7, water is provided by Northern Colorado Water Association, sewer is provided by On-Lot Septic, and it's in the Wellington Fire Protection District. The applicants are proposing to rezone it to agriculture, and the proposed land uses include residential, agricultural, and recreational. Adjacent zoning to this property is O open with FO forestry about approximately 800 feet to the north. And adjacent land uses primarily include residential and agriculture. And I should point out that one of the things that's mentioned in the project description, that one of the reasons that they're seeking the rezoning is because there is a co-compliance case with a shooting range on the property. If this rezoning is approved, that would be a separate planning application. I believe Samantha Lasher went over this with her presentation, But just to speak a little bit regarding our comprehensive plan and our land use code, the Larimer County Comprehensive Plan was updated in 2019, and the land use code was updated in 2021. The comprehensive plan is that policy document that establishes the long-range framework for decision-making in Larimer County. The framework map and the comprehensive plan helps guide the location, intensity, pattern of development in the county. One purpose of the land use code is to implement the Larimer County Comprehensive Plan and any future amendments to the plan. In this particular case, the framework map in the comprehensive plan identifies this area as agricultural and ranching. The agricultural and ranching framework area includes preferred uses such as agriculture, ranching, conservation easements, and agritourism. It also identifies some additional uses, which include industrial and commercial uses that are supportive of agriculture, clustered land divisions, and it includes outdoor recreation. Discouraged uses in this area include commercial office, commercial retail, flex office, industrial, and heavy industrial. The agricultural zoning district which the applicant is proposing is one of the zoning districts intended for areas identified in the comprehensive plan as agricultural and ranching in the framework plan. This application was reviewed looking at the review criteria both in 638D, the general approval review criteria, and also the rezoning review criteria in 661D. I have that criteria in this PowerPoint, but I've also addressed it in my staff report, and I'm happy to speak to any of those if you like. The comments were received from multiple referral agencies, which are also included in your application. None of them had any issues or concerns with the rezoning, but several of them did provide comments on the shooting range, which again would be addressed with a separate application if the rezoning is approved. No comments were received from any community members. The Development Services team finds that the proposed request meets the review criteria of Article 638D and 661D of the Larimer County Land Use Code. Therefore, our recommendation is that the Planning Commission recommend to the Board of County Commissioners approval of the Siler rezoning, file number 21 zone 3145 from O open to A agriculture. And we do have a suggested motion, and I am happy to answer any questions.
Yes, thank you for that presentation. Do any of my fellow commissioners have questions of staff? Commissioner Chalet?
So I guess my question, in your staff report, the shooting range is referenced several times, right? Basically by the comments of the people that were referred to. So my question is pretty basic. Is this shooting range currently operating? Because that is the gist of what I got from reading through this.
Yes, it is a current code compliance, and I can have that. The applicants are here, or applicant is here, so he can speak to that. But it was an operating shooting range, which is why it became a code compliance case. And this is part of the process to seek approval for that use at that site.
Okay. Well, then I'll wait for that applicant.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. Any other questions of staff? Okay, seeing none. So yeah, is the applicant is here, and do they have a presentation? And we'll welcome that. And if not, if you wouldn't mind just coming up here for some questions.
So I'm Peter Seiler. Last name is Seiler. I'm the owner and also the applicant, and I'm joined by Patrick Anderson.
I'm Patrick Anderson, and I own the the business that operates on the gun range.
Right.
So we don't have a prepared presentation, being that this is the hearing for the zoning. We are fully prepared to answer any questions as it relates to the shooting range and the uses.
Sure. Well, great. Well, yeah, thank you for being here. And I think Commissioner Chalet has some questions if you want to go ahead.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So is it still operational right now, or have you stopped operating while you go through this process?
Yes, the shooting range is still operational. Patrick leads firearms training, mostly private groups, so groups of people that come in for the purpose of firearms training. We've limited operation drastically just because we want to make sure that we're still maintaining communication with the planning department and pursuing that full compliance.
And if we approve this rezoning today, what do you anticipate the time frame for you to be prepared for the special review process to get the full permitting and approval that you actually need?
Yeah, so based on the comments, there's items like road access improvements, permanent bathroom, various infrastructure that needs to first be scoped, planned, and then approved before we go to that special hearing. So I think we fully need to understand what the scope is before going to the public hearing, before we can commit to a date. We'd like to continue this process, hopefully into the next year. We're basically shut down for the rest of the year at this point. And so during the winter months, we don't operate just because the weather's not good.
It's a seasonal business that only operates on the weekends. So we operate usually from November through the end of September, depending on weather. But for the most part, it's class based only. It's not a public range. So the only thing that happens out there are shooting classes, and we do about 10 to 12 a year.
And if I recall, you do a lot of the concealed carry classes, right?
Yeah, that's the bulk of what most people are looking for. But we've operated services for Fort Collins PD SWAT, U.S. Marshals, FBI. We do those services for free for all law enforcement, and we also do we've done some like fundraising stuff for the local high school sports teams as well.
So if I can just jump in as a reminder, the application before us tonight is just the rezoning. It does not approve any specific use on the property, and should a use be pursued, that would be coming back for a separate application. So we need to focus the discussion tonight on that rezoning case and not necessarily on what the proposed future use would be. I will jump in and say, as they acknowledge, the operations on the site have continued through the code compliance enforcement process, and that's generally a policy that's allowed by the county, that as long as you're going through the compliance process to seek approval for the use, you can continue operations. You cannot expand the use, but you can continue it until such time as it's either approved or denied.
Yeah, thanks for that reminder. Yeah, any other questions maybe focused on what we have before us tonight?
No, I just think since the reason for my line of questioning to explain is simply because it seemed that the application was surrounded by this particular use. Normally, I wouldn't ask a lot of questions, but you anticipate still maintaining the agricultural aspect of all of that as its main primary use, yes?
Yes, that's correct. So currently it's being used as pasture. Over 30 acres of it is operational pasture year round. We've both had our own horses on the pasture and also have leased out part of that pasture for cattle grazing. So that will continue regardless of the outcome of the special review for the shooting range. And then the front of the property has also been used for a lot of horse training. So starting horses under saddle, preparing horses for, ranch jobs and whatnot. So.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Any other questions? And if not, I'll go ahead and open up the public hearing and take public comments. Is there anyone in the room that would like to give testimony? Seeing none, and just verify nothing online.
We have 0 attendees.
Great. Okay, so now I'll close that public hearing, and we'll, unless there are any other questions of the applicant, we'll go ahead and move into commissioner discussion deliberation on this item. Entertain any discussion or comments, or otherwise a motion. Commissioner Chalet.
There we go. Okay. So I move that the Planning Commission recommends the Board of County Commissioners approve the Siler rezoning file number 21-Zone 3145.
Second.
Motion and a second from Commissioner Duffy, and roll call, Ms. Hutchins.
Commissioner Slutsky,
Aye.
Weiss,
Yes.
Duffy,
Yes.
Eggleston,
Yes.
Cassidy,
Yes.
Chalet,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Chair vote.
Yes. Motion passes. So yeah, thanks again for your attendance. And so next we'll move to reports from staff.
I have just two quick updates. First, I wanted to thank all of you who have filled out our staff report feedback survey and encourage anyone who hasn't that we would really be grateful for any information that you'd like to share with us. We do these staff reports to help you in your decision-making process, and if there's any gaps or anything that we can do to make those better, we would love to hear about it. And just as a reminder, for those of you who are registered for the Colorado APA Conference, that is coming up here on October 2nd. If anyone else is interested in late registration, I don't know that they're offering it, but you can let me know and I can see what's possible. So those are my updates. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And with that, we will adjourn. So thank you.